Okay, it sounds like they're okay. All right, so let's hide that. Let's go back here and share my screen again. All right, we're back. All right, so let me get everybody on. Good. All right. Sure. We'll do a quick on GRM cap rate and explain those again. No problem, Steven. Okay, so here we go. GRM is 11.84. That's 6 is what we want. The lower the number, the better when it comes to GRM. I'll explain that when we're done this, okay? You go back. Okay. Current cap rate is 4.8. Now this is a no-no. We need a 10 cap rate to be able to buy and hold this property. Now, if the cap rate's, at this level, the best we can do possibly on this property is we're going to wholesale it because the cap rate is low. I think I talked to you a little bit about that on the weekend too. Let the numbers tell you what strategy to use. A 5 cap rate probably is going to be a wholesale opportunity. We need this to be higher if we want it to be something better, like a rent-to-own, a flip, and a 10 would give us the cap rate for a buy and hold. So let me give you an example. So here, let's say that the property is $350. Okay, so we come down here and we look numbers. You see some greens now, right? We're making $33 because it's over $75. GRM, it's not a 6, but it's not terrible. It's a 9.21. But the current cap rate is still 6.2, right? Still too low. We're still in a wholesale kind of area, okay? So we want that to be better. But look what happened to the coverage ratio. Coverage ratio went to 1.29. We like to see that at 1.2, which just means that net operating income is greater than the debt service, right? The debt service is costing us 16. The net operating cost is costing us 21,584. Now, what's the problem with this? The problem is we have the coverage ratio, but look at this. Our cash-on-cash return is not very good. Now, the reason our cash-on-cash return is not very good is we have too much money in the property, right? And let's go back to 1010 and see where we're at. 1010, and you'll see that the coverage ratio's dropped now. It's 1.15. We'd like to see it at 1.2. Let's just make some changes here to make this work better. I want to see this. Okay, so here we go. Coverage ratio is 1.12. Average profit per unit is 102 bucks. Cash on cash return is 10.56. It's double digits, but it's not 30, but at least it's double digits. And really that's a function of how much money we have, right? We'd like less into the property. Let's try this. So now we have less in the property, and you can see that the less we have in the property, the better the return. Okay, less in the property, better the return. But the less we have, right, the more debt service we have, right? The debt service. So that's going to affect the coverage ratio, okay? The coverage ratio, okay? We'll come back to this several times, so don't worry if you're not catching all this. But I'm hoping you're picking up some of it. And through practice, I promise this will become second nature. It was new to everybody in the beginning, so don't worry about it. We'll get you there. Okay. Now, coverage ratio 1.4. Like I said, we like to see 1.2. It's not terrible, but 1.2 is kind of the goal for us. Okay, now, this is an interesting part. You see that the price of the property was $350, and just looking at this property, if this was retail. Oops. If this was retail, you see, it's saying that the retail would be $431,000. That's what it's saying to us. Estimated retail is $431 if the cap rate is 10. If the cap rate is 5. Okay, now, that's not going to make a lot of sense to you if you don't know what cap rate is. But really, cap rate is really the return on investment on the property itself. Don't worry, we'll go over that. But that'll give you a retail idea. So really, we're looking at, let's see. Yeah, we're looking at about 6, which makes sense. That's 6 cap rate, and you can see it's almost the same price. If we come down here, you see that that's 6.2 is the cap rate we have here, right? Which is what the property makes, right? The value of this property, right? The higher the cap rate, the better for us. The lower the cap rate, not so good. Now we come down here, we see that even though the property is listed at $350, for us, the maximum offer price is only $215. This is what I was talking about. This will, this is a guide for us to recognize, what's a good property and what's not, and what's our maximum offer price. And we see the maximum offer price is $215,830. So that's going to be a problem, considering that's a drop of about $130,000. Okay, so nevertheless, we want to know what the property is worth to us. So $215 is what it's worth to us. Now the reason it's saying $215 is what the value is because this forces the price to give us a 10 cap rate. And you can see it. And at a 10 cap rate, right, if the price was $215, look, a cash on cash return is infinite because we have no money into it. But what we can do is do this and go 15, right? And let me see. Let me just answer a question. Gross rent multiplier, the ratio of the price for real estate investment, it's annual income before accounting or expenses, it's property, insurance, and utilities. Okay. Is that a question? Man? Is that a question? Is that what it means, you mean? Gross rent multiplier is just a gross number yeah. It's GRM, yeah. It's just a gross against the value. Don't worry, we'll do an example when we're done this, okay? Just so everybody gets a clear idea of it. Okay, so if we go 80, 15, and 5, like we had up here, 80, 15, and 5, but with the price at 215, look what happens, okay? Even if we got 5% down, we're making 78% return. We're making average per unit $234. The GRM is 5.68, which is great. Under 6, current cap rate's 10. That's awesome. Cost per unit, I don't want you to worry about. I might take that out completely, actually, just because that's really something that's more something you might look at when you're looking at, 15, 20 unit properties, right? Coverage ratio is excellent at 1.6, so it's over the 1.2. So we have lots of money. We're happy to take the financing on. We can afford it, no problem. And then we come down here and we see first offer here, 183. That's 85% of this, but it's 52% of the original price, right? It's 52% of the original price. That's a big drop, right? From this 350 to this, that's a huge drop, right? So that's going to be a problem. It's 52%. If we go with VTB, it's 205, 95% of our maximum offer price, 59%, still really low against the value of the property, okay? So there might not be an opportunity here, but it's good for us to understand why there is no opportunity here, okay? We want to avoid making mistakes and understanding why we're making the decisions we make. Okay, so we go VTB with interest and principal. It's calculating, our offer with VTB. This first one is VTB, interest and principal. So it says, look, we'd like a second mortgage from the seller at $32,374.50. If you're wondering where this number came from, it came from here, right? The second mortgage, we're always going to ask the second mortgage to be from the seller. That's $32,374.50. We come down here, we're saying, look, give us that second mortgage for a 5-year term for an amortization. I put 65 because really it can be anything it wants. Let's go 30. And we'll give you 4% interest on it. And we could give them 5 if we wanted to. We could give them 5% interest, and it's going to be $172 a month, sir. We're going to give you, Mr. Smith, every month. We're going to give you $172 in monthly, $2,073.36 yearly, and after 5 years, we're going to give you $29,707.37 because that's what we owe you, right? After we start with $32,374.50. And we pay the mortgage like a bank. He's the bank. After we pay that, we still owe him $29,000, and we'll pay that after 5 years. Of course, we could get that through a refinance or a sale of the property or another investor. There's many ways we can deal with that in the 5-year term. And we want a complete plan. We want to have an idea of what we're going to do in 5 years with the property. And we're always going to assume that the market's flat and nothing really happens with the market. So what are we going to do to get that money back? Okay. Interest only, if it's an interest only loan, same amount, 5 years, term doesn't matter, amortization doesn't matter. sorry, term does, but amortization doesn't matter because we're just paying the interest. We actually tell him that we'll give him 6% if he gives us an interest-only loan. And then why is that we want to give him extra percentage? Is because we'd like him to give us the loan interest only. And the reason is because when you go from a 5 to a 6, it is 1% more, but your cash flow is better because your cost is lower. So in this case, with the top one, 172.78, that's interest to principal. That's what it's going to cost us per month to finance. So instead of doing that, we're going to, say, look, we'll pay interest only. You're going to make more money on the deal. But for us personally, right, for the investor, it's going to cost us, about $10 less a month to finance the property with this VTB. So that's good for us. We want our cash flow to be high as possible. Yearly, 194247. And of course, because we haven't paid any of the principal down, we pay the exact amount of the original loan, the 132. It's over here, 132,374.50. That's what we're paying at the end of the term of the 5-year term. Okay, so we still own the money because we've just paid interest. And what this does is it does a total wealth accumulation for the seller. So the seller understands now, even though we're buying the property for say 205, we're going to end up giving you 214, right, or 212. Based on how we set up that mortgage. So he's not really getting just that 205. He's making more. He's getting a little bit more over the 5-year term. Okay. Now this tells you that it's 39.2% of the list and 38.6 against the list price, right? That 350. To give us an idea of how far we are with it. Now originally you could see that we were 52 and 59. So with the VTB, right, 52 and 59 the list price originally, right? With the VTB, even we were 59. Now we're 39 and 38. So we brought more money to the table for the seller. If the seller is looking for a higher price versus the money now, we talked about that. Do they need time or do they need money or do they need both? So this gives us an idea of some options available to us. Okay. Any questions? I know that was a lot of information. Any questions about any of that? No, you good? Danny, good? I'm gonna close this sheet and go to a whiteboard so we can talk about, good, how do we calculate cap rate for other markets? Okay, Chad, we'll come back to that. Any other questions? Okay, let's do this. Okay, give me 1 second. Look at something. Okay. All right. Hold on 1 second. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to close the window and go back to the screen. All right. All right. Okay. Does everybody have these 3 files? If you don't, you can download them there. Okay. Oops. Sure, Danny, no worries. Well, we're kind of going through a couple of them now, so if you have a question, Danny, you can ask now, because I'm going to explain some of the metrics. Okay, we're going to share a whiteboard. There we go. Tariq, my friend, is back. Let's see if we can get some sound from him. Tariq, can you test your microphone? What's the difference versus source financing about? Okay, give me 1 second. Tara, can you type in so you can hear me? Okay. Well, Tarek, he's working on the sound. So we're gonna continue. Okay. Let's go to a whiteboard and do some let's look at GRM. Okay, 1 second. Okay. All right, what is the difference versus the source of financing above? Do you mean from the top and bottom of the sheet? Is that what you mean, Danny? Either one of them can be inputted. So the original one, the one in the top half of the Excel sheet, the calculator, it can be anything you want it to be. Really, you can put anything you want. The bottom half, you're going to input the information that you want in there, because it's kind of important too, Danny, because that's where we're going to get our VTV from. So you can modify and change those in the bottom half based on what kind of deal we're putting together. So either one of them can be changed. You could set up the top so it's always general financing, or the normal financing where it's 80% and 20% down. And then the bottom half of the sheet, we could change that to anything we wanted. Preferably we'd want 5%, 10% as a maximum investment, but 0 would be even better. And try to get that second mortgage from the seller. Okay, does that make sense? Good, excellent, great question. Okay, let's do this. All right, let's talk about GRM. Okay, so GRM, which stands for gross rent multiplier. Okay. Gross rent multiplier. Okay. That's an N. Gross rent multiplier. Okay, that's what it means. GRM. Okay. All it's doing is this. It's taking the gross income. So income, gross income divided by rent for the year. That's all it does. So you take the income, my apologies, that is the income, against the price of the property, purchase price. So income by purchase price. So I'll do a couple examples, but it's income. That is wrong too. Look at that, eh? I did those backwards. Let's do that again. There we go. So you want the purchase price, I'm thinking cap rate. Purchase price divided by the yearly income, like yearly rent. Okay? Does that make sense? We'll do some examples. So purchase price against yearly rent. So let's go back to, let's get another whiteboard, and we'll do some examples. Okay. Okay, there we go. The whiteboard. Alright. Fix that. Alright. So gross rent multiplier is a great way. You're getting better with the mouse. Would you believe? You wouldn't believe what the way I'm drawing this out. I have this on my lap right now, so I can easily write like I'm writing on it. Okay. Alright. So, alright, here we go. So, let's look at a house that's 100K. Okay, let's keep it simple. 100K. The guy says, look, I have a property, it's 100K. You say, well, how much rent do you bring in? And he says, I bring in gross rent, I bring in let's make 12K, 1,000 a month, 12K a year, gross rent. That's the gross rent, 12K. So no expenses have been established, no numbers have been established. All you have right now is purchase price and 12K. So this is what GRM does for you. GRM says, okay, if I take 100K, this 100K, and I divide it by this 12K, what do I get for a GRM? So the GRM becomes what? What's the GRM? Who can tell me? Everybody should do this calculation, actually. It's not a bad idea at all. So we all do the calculation together, and we go 100K divided by 12K. And it gives us what? There you go. So the GRM is 8.33. Now, we don't know any expenses. We don't know anything. All we know is 100K, 12K. That's the gross rents. And we're trying to get a quick calculation to see if this property has any potential for us. Okay. So 8.33 is not a 6. It's not terrible, but 8.33 starts to strain, the profitability of this property. I'll explain why. Okay. So if the GRM is 8.33, it's not a 6. So lower the GRM, the better. Okay. Higher the GRM, worse. Okay. It means the rent is smaller relative to the gross rent is relative to the value of the house, purchase price of the house. Okay. Is everybody with me so far? Any questions? We're good. Okay. So here's the problem. When you see this, 12K, right? Which is not terrible. These numbers aren't terrible, but this is what you can do as a quick evaluation. If I assume that this property, half the gross rent is going to go to expenses, just half of it. I'm just going to cut it right in half, right? So that means that I make 6K, what? Net operating income. In other words, after I paid my bills, all my expenses, I'm going to make about 6K. Okay? That's what I'm a quick calculation. Now, obviously, I have to write the numbers. So, I still got to go through the process of writing numbers, but this is for quick calculation. On the spot, is there an opportunity here? Okay? Now, here's your challenge. If the net operating income is 6K and the value of the purchase price of the property is 100K, then the cap rate is what? Cap rate equals 6. Exactly. And for those of you who don't know how to calculate cap rate, real simple. Okay? We take the net operating income divided by the value. So we go 6K divided by 100K. Okay? That's a 0. Okay? That's how you get cap rate. Okay, everybody with me so far? And what cap rate is doing, really calculating for you? Everyone. All it's doing is saying, look, if you paid cash for this house, what would be your return on investment? So 6 represents 6%. That's what it represents. If I paid this house right off, completely paid it off, if I completely paid this house off, what would it be worth? What would be my return, my ROI? So if I put $100,000 cash and I'm making 6K at the end of the year, then my cap rate is 6. The same thing as saying 6%. It's capitalization rate. So 6%, that's what I'm making per year. Is 6% good? Is 6% okay for us for returns? No, not at all, right? We're looking for double digits. As usual, we're looking for double digits, okay? So we want to make sure that cap rate is in the higher. Now, 6 doesn't mean we can't do the deal. Just means it's probably going to be a wholesale. So let's do this and continue. Okay. So if you have a 6 cap, so let's go back to a 6 cap rate so you understand why that works, why we use a 6. Let's say the property is, the property's 100K again. Okay, but the rents are, it's going to be 15,000. One second. Okay, so it's about, let's go. 16,000 is the gross rent per month. So 16K per year, I make in gross rent. Okay, so everybody, give me the GRM. Give me the GRM. $6.25. Everybody get that? Good. Everybody understands how we got that, right? Okay. So what I'm going to do is the same thing. Look, same thing. I say, okay, 16K, all right, the GRM is 6.25. It's almost exactly, you know, where I like it to be. If I do a quick calculation, 100K, 16K, I'm going to assume that half of this is going to be expenses. So I'm going to make 8K net operating income. That's how much I get to keep. And if it's against a $100,000 property, what's my cap rate? Exactly. It's 8. Exactly. Now, 8's not 10, but you can get an 8 to a 10. 8's not 10, but an 8, you can get an 8 to a 10 through negotiation. Is everybody learning something? We're getting this? We're starting to understand why that number means something? And this is for quick calculation only. This is for quick calculation only, okay? Now, still going to run the numbers, still going to do everything, but this is for us. Yeah, or Danny, we could do a rent to own. Easy, a rent to own will get us there, no problem. Good point. Yeah, the whole thing is creative financing, really. How did I get the number, NOI, the net operating income of 8K? How did I get that? Is that what you're asking? Just want to double check the question. Yeah, that's 50% of this. This is the 16K, right? The 16K. That's all I did. I cut it in half. So as a general rule, I assume half the money's going to expenses on a property. Half of it. Now that might not be absolutely right. Right? It might be different. It might be 60-40. It might be 70-30. I mean, it's possible, but I mean, there's a cost, right? There's a cost associated for us, you know, owning the property, controlling the property, right? So it's just the GRM is a very quick calculator. It's a very quick calculator for you to understand, you know, if there's an opportunity there. Because if this was 1,000K and the gross rent came in at you know, at 8K, you know, what would that mean? You know, if this 16K now became, the guy says, oh, why make 8K a year? Well, now 8K, it's not, I got to split this by 50%, so this becomes 4K, right? 4K, and net operating income. Cap rate becomes 4. That's a problem. Yeah, the GRM jumps to 12.5. So the higher the number, right, the worse it is for profitability for us. Okay, does everybody see that? Good. Okay, so when we look at, last thing I want to say, okay, in reference to this, unless there's questions, obviously, I have no problem answering questions about this, is, you know, is looking at, okay, is understanding why we finance property. Okay, does everybody understand why we need to finance property? So cap rate and GRM kind of tell us that, right? We have to finance property because it's not worth it otherwise, right? So we have that 100K property, and it makes us, you know, net. It makes us, I'll tell you, on a property in Canada, most of Canada, you're probably looking between 3 and 5,000 on this net. But let's say the net operating income is, 5. Net operating income is 5K. That's how much we make. So this makes this property give us a ROI, right? Which is the same as what? Cap rate, right? Cap rate in this case. The cap rate now becomes 5. Same thing. It's the same thing, right? Now, we call that cap rate because that's against the whole value of the property. That's not the same as cash on cash return. So everybody understand what cash on cash return is? I'm going to explain it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay? So cash, that's not loving me right now. There we go. Cash, let me get rid of that. Cash on cash return, or CCR, like the band. Okay, so cash on cash return means my cash versus the cash I come in, what's my return? So if I put in 100K and I make 5K, I'm making 5%. The ROI is 5%, the cap rate's 5. And in this case, the cash on cash return is 5, right? 5%, right? I'm making 5% return on this property because I put up all the cash, right? Now, if I got this is why at 5K it's not worth the risk of a property. 5% return, it's not worth it, right? Because we're taking all the risk on responsibility of a property for 5%. We need to learn how to get that 5% or that 5 cap rate to a higher number. So to do that, without changing the property itself or increasing the value of the property, adding something to it or increasing the rent, we need to finance. So if I finance this property and I'm only putting in 10K of the 100K, now mind you, 10K of the 100K, I'm not going to make 5K anymore, right? But I'm going to make, say, I'm going to make 2K, right? It's going to cost me $3,000, to finance this property. I'm only going to make 2K, right? Now, what is, if I put in 10K and I make 2K a year, what's my cash on cash return? Yeah, 20%. This is what creative financing does for us. In my opinion, there's no value in property unless you can leverage it. There's no value in property, to me. The real gift and opportunity in property is creative financing, and by learning how to creatively finance property, by learning how to put less into a property to control more, really is really the gift of this organization. This is the gift of the learning that we're doing right now. That's what's going to make you wealthy. Because think about it, we're making a 20% return. We haven't changed anything. With the house, we haven't increased the rent. We haven't done anything, physically to the house. All we've changed is what? The structure. All right, the structure of the property has changed. Therefore, the opportunity. And to echo the point I'm trying to make, this is exactly how the wealthy get wealthy, right? There isn't many legitimate 20 to 30% return, opportunities in life. There really isn't any sustainable 20 to 30%. So, you can't look for these kind of opportunities because they're high risk. If they're pure 100%, 20 to 30% returns, there's not many of them, right? And they typically be, they're getting into high risk positions with it. But if you can take a 5% return and turn it into 20, that's a different story. Does everybody understand? We're taking 5%, which is low risk, and turning it into a high return. That's the whole gift. Yeah, it is. It's the whole gift of understanding money. It is. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Because you're not changing your risk. And that's the biggest thing we have to understand. Is we don't want the risk. We don't want the risk, right? We want the opportunity. We're not going to want to add risk to get that 20%, right? That's not what we're looking for. We're just looking for a way to get the 20% from the property. Okay? Any questions about that? Yeah, leverage is everything. Yeah. You're lost about the 10K. So in that case, Chad, we put up 10K, like a down payment. Instead of paying cash for the house, right? What we've done is we put only 10,000 in the house. And because we're only putting 10,000, Chad, we're not going to make as much as 5K because now we have a mortgage, right? We're only making 2K, right? If we're only making 2K, it's less cash flow. For sure, it's less cash. But the return is much better. Now we're making a 20% return. Of course, I hope you all can see that, is that, by only putting up 10K, obviously, we can do this 10 times. Where we can only do it once with 100K if we pay cash for the property. Okay? Excellent. Good. All right. So a couple other things I wanted to do. We got about 20 minutes left of the evening. I want to make sure that everybody welcomes our new groups from Toronto and from Montreal. Everybody say hi to them. If you're from, because we got people on the call from Montreal, who've been with us a few months longer than you. Yeah, please. So when you come on the call, it would be great if everybody could put their first name, your partner's name if you're with your partner, and also please put the location of where you are, okay? So everybody knows where you're from, okay? Next call, okay? All right, so let's do this. And Sierra, I'm gonna get some people from Edmonton. In a few months, we're gonna visit Edmonton again. When I do, I'll let you know, okay? All right, Sierra, we'll get some people from your area in the game. Yes, for sure. Okay, here we go. Let's look at. I want to look at a couple of things. First, I want to look at Sierra's deal, okay? Sierra, we're going to look at your deal now, okay? Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, just the Vancouver Symposium, actually. I will be teaching a class there. Not an elite class, but a basic class. They asked me to do that one in Vancouver. So if you do get a chance to make it, we'll get to see each other. We'll definitely, hopefully it'd be kind of cool if we could all do something together. But anyways, let's, excellent, Justin, that's awesome. Good. Yeah, if you can make it, great. Obviously, it's an expense for your business. Please make sure you keep all your receipts. Okay. Cape Coral, Zach? That might have been another one at Cape Coral. But yeah, Vancouver is pretty much a lock, I believe. But Zach, let me check into that, Zach, and I'll know by next week for sure, okay, on the next call. All right, let's do this. Let's look at... Okay, so let's look at... I'm going to share my screen so we can talk about a deal that Sierra's working on with Wilbur. Let's look at... And Anna, I'm thinking that, we can review it. We can definitely review what you sent me. I'm thinking that maybe throwing the numbers in the Excel sheet would be... And the evaluator would be probably a good next step. So we can look at it, okay? Okay. Yeah, we'll get clarification on Montreal. Okay. Oh, not Montreal. Sorry, my apologies. For the Vancouver Symposium. Okay. All right. Let's look at. Nope. It's terms and conditions. Okay. So here we go. So I'm going down here and I'm looking, and so I need you to walk me through a couple things, Sierra. Okay. So you said that you sent this and you reeled some stuff out. Is that right? You know what, Chad? I remember seeing an email about that, but we'll find out. Yeah, it is in BC. It is in BC. Yeah, it is in BC. I remember. I think I saw an email, something about that. I'll have to look at it again, but I'll confirm for everybody next week. Okay? I'm sure it's in Vancouver, but I'll confirm it. Okay. So Sierra, let's look at this. So this, your realtor sent you this. Is that what you said? Okay, but there's no clause, there's no real exits here. Now we like to see the way that we like them written. So this is a little bit, you know, I don't know if I would feel comfortable with this as it says. But you have more insight into this property than someone would. You know, you've seen this property, right? We're looking at an offer to purchase of a property. This is a foreclosure, pre-foreclosure. Or is this actually a foreclosure? Because it has the bank's name on it. Sierra, has the bank taken the property? So that might be a problem, Sierra, because if they have the property, typically there's not much of a deal here, and obviously they're more stringent when it comes to clauses. I was thinking it was the guy that you were working with that was going to turn over the property. Is that the property we're talking about, Sierra? Property's worth $307 CMA. They went through this late last year. You went through this deal, Dave? This would be a flip. Not this one, but others. Oh, okay. Okay, I remember us talking about one day. Okay, this would be a flip. So purchase price, what's the purchase price? I don't want to go to the top because I want to protect the, you know, the location and stuff. Not that I'm worried about it, but it's 160, and the CMA is 307. Okay. So how much do you have to put in the property? Okay, so okay, for estimate. So let's go through this. The buyer acknowledges, agrees to purchase the mortgage, lands, buildings, blah blah blah. Goods included the sale of property, without general. Okay, okay. In condition of any building or improvements, location of the property, condition of attached goods, purchase contract, and otherwise sold the property with the property comply. Okay. The location of the building, where or not the building. I'm just running through these. These are standard ones that they would put in this. But I'm just reviewing it. None of our clauses are in this. The buyer agrees the seller is selling only such interest as it may have the attached goods or unattached goods, referring to the real estate purchase contract on which is located on the property. The seller does not warrant that it has little such attached goods and attached goods, for the buyer agrees that the seller will not be liable for the removal of any chattels. The chattels is just stuff at the property, found on the property prior to the date of closing. On closing, the buyer may have possession of the attached goods and attached goods which are about. So that's what chattel is, unattached goods. The seller is not required to provide the buyer with any real property report or compliance certificate. Should the seller provide the buyer with a copy of the survey or real property, the buyer agrees that the use of the reliance of such document shall be at the bank's own risk. The buyer must satisfy its that the survey or the real property report which the seller might provide accurately reflects the property and the building improvements located therein which currently exist. The seller may not be responsible for any errors or omissions which exist on the document. This is definitely written for the bank. The seller is not required to provide any condominium documents. The buyer must satisfy himself with the condition of the condominium unit. Well, it's not a condo, right, Sierra? No. Goods and services tax, acceptance, the seller advisory is contract signed, counterpart. The offers being okay. So. So the realtor that sent you this property, Sierra, so you haven't seen this property. Who sent you this property? The realtor did. Okay. So she hasn't shown you the property? Was a pocket listing. So Sierra, you know, because the bank owns it, and these clauses are, I mean, they're written for the bank, which is fine. That's they're submitting it to you. I'd want us to, and this is something that I wouldn't do otherwise. I'd want us to see this property and have somebody walk through it. That's a contractor to give you some idea of what it's going to cost to fix this, because once you move forward, you know. There might be some challenges in trying to exit out of this, because you can't really say, you know, an inspection, it has to pass inspection when it's a distressed property. If you go up to point 8.3, some conditions are listed. Okay, let's see. Yeah, but I'll show you what I mean here. The seller's conditions for the benefit of the seller are each written notice. The condition is evaluated, satisfied on before the condition date of the contract. Subject to the purchaser attaining insurance, subject to the approval of terms and conditions of the contractor. I'll tell you right now, you might not be able to get insurance on this property. The seller, acts reasonably in good faith with satisfying all conditions, including making reasonable to fulfill them and pay any costs related to the conditions. The buyer's condition for the benefits of the buyer. Financing, the contract is subject to the buyer securing new financing not to exceed the purchase price from the lender and the buyer's choice, with the terms satisfactory to the buyer before 5 p.m. March 1st. The seller will cooperate to provide access to the property on reasonable terms. The contract is subject to the buyer's satisfaction with the property inspection conducted by a licensed home inspector before. See, this is what I don't understand, Sierra. If this property, based on what you're telling me in the condition, I'm guessing, although I haven't seen the property, this thing's not going to pass inspection. There's no way. You know, if it's $150,000 and it's worth $370 or $307, did you say? It's probably got some serious problems. But we don't know, right? We don't know, Sierra, because we haven't seen it. Well, it could be. We don't know. So, Sierra, tell me what you want to do. Tell me what you want to do with this. We still have an exit with our partner clause, right? You do. You do. Let's see. Where'd you guys put it? Where is it listed? Number? Parties. Assets. Tell me, where's your partner? Which clauses do you have it listed under? Oh, right here. I see it. I see it. Yeah. Okay. So, she said they'll accept this contract. Yes, he said they will like this better. Okay. Alright, so you can see that they're looking for a time frame of this condition. Right? So one of these conditions has to be, long enough for us to be able to vet the deal, right? To be able to make sure the deal's, good for us. So, subject to the purchaser obtaining insurance, subject to the approval of the terms and conditions of this contract by the purchaser's partner solicitor. When did they say they need to close on this property? What's the space here? How far? Did you test that? How far they'll go for closing? How far can you take it? Did you test that? Did your realtor tell you how far they could go with closing? Just type it in there, that's okay. Okay, we got about 5 minutes left, so Anna, I'm going to tell you to put the numbers for that property in the sheet if you could and send that to me. Anybody else who needs to send me anything? No, not yet? Okay. So anybody else, play around with the sheet. The goal for this, thanks Anna. The goal for this week is to run 5 properties through the sheet and see what we can find out. Play with it. We'll take up any deals that are sent through next week. Sierra, do this for me, okay? Ask the realtor how far they can go with the closing, and then put in this clause: subject to the purchaser obtaining insurance, subject to the approval of terms and conditions, contract with purchaser and partners solicitor. Put that one all the way to closing. Like we need time, right, Sierra? We need 30 days or something like that to be able to vet the property. So if we can get 30 days for this clause, then we're okay, right? But if you put 30 days in that, basically, you have 30 days to say my partner doesn't like this deal or my lawyer doesn't like this deal. But before we sign and send this back, who's going to see it, Sierra? Who do you need to make sure sees this? Who needs to see this, Sierra, before you sign it? Another investor? There you go, a lawyer. Needs you to see another lawyer. Okay, another lawyer needs to see this before you sign it. Sierra, if there's any challenges with that, and a lawyer, yeah. Sierra, if you have any challenges with a lawyer reviewing this for whatever reason, I want you to let me know, okay? I don't want you to sign this without a lawyer seeing it, okay? Okay, so if you have any issues with that, you're going to reach out to me, and then we're going to come up with a solution, okay? So I don't want you to sign this unless we know we're safe. The lawyer is going to review the clauses to ensure that the clauses are going to give us what we want. Because, and I'll make this clear to everybody, I'm not a lawyer. Alright? Even though I understand these clauses and what they mean, I'm still not a lawyer. And I'm not comfortable with, giving that kind of advice. Same with the accounting and things like that. I want you to use professionals to on your power team to support your business. And I want to make sure that that's part of our practice. Real estate lawyer, contract lawyer, yeah, that's fine. Corporate lawyer is good too. As long as they know contracts, well, you're good. Yeah. So real estate lawyer should have no problem reviewing those and understanding them. But you need someone to say, yep, this clause here, can I exercise this? Is this clause going to allow me to get out of this deal? No matter if I waive everything else, is this clause going to allow me to get out of this deal on or before this date? And you want them to say yes. So and then you can work with time frames from there. Okay? Okay. Anyone know an area standard cap rate for New Brunswick prediction St. John's? So Chad, the out there cap rates. The best thing you can do to find out cap rates in a particular area is to actually run listed properties through the sheet, or you can ask a realtor. Say ask them what's the standard cap rate in this area, and really, they can also look at sale prices, recent sale prices, and that's really where you're going to get the best idea of cap rates. And really, you can get a cap rate for a province, but I'd rather you get a cap rate for a city or even a neighborhood, an area, right? A section of the, so what retail is in that particular area. That's the big thing. You want to know what's retail. Yeah, you need to know what's retail. Okay, let's do this. Okay, I want to give you one more thing. Okay, tonight, before we go. So I'm going to give you something, and everyone's going to promise me, right, that they're going to, it's additional clauses for contracts. And I want everyone to understand you need to work with a lawyer. Does everybody understand? Okay. Hold on one second. Okay. So homework is the main thing I want you to do is run properties. I just want you to keep running properties till you come across an opportunity. I want you to make sure you're spending 1 to 2 hours max, even 1 hour a day. A little bit of learning, a little bit of earning. Run through some of the on-demands a little bit each day. Have a conversation about it if you can with a partner or someone else that's watching you with you would be wonderful. And a little bit of each day, a little bit of running some properties, evaluating, maybe emailing, talking to some other opportunities with some other opportunities with power team members. Oh, I don't know why that is. I have no idea. Okay. I don't know why it doesn't show disabled on my side at all. Let me see. Did you get that? Okay, so here we go. Okay, I'm going to give you another file. I hope everybody has those files. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Okay, terms and conditions of the Schedule A. That's the file right there. That's good advice, Dave. Yeah, you need to, as in anything, right? You want to make sure you do the proper vetting process on any of these properties, and when the banks own it, they're definitely writing the agreement to benefit them. They're trying to unload it off their books and not necessarily allowing us to put those clauses in because it's the bank, right? It's not a regular seller. But this might be an opportunity, Sarah. You never know, right? That's why we run the numbers. That's why we run the numbers. Okay, everybody get that file? Some of those clauses are redundant. That's okay. Just read them over. We'll take that over. No worries. I'm gonna review them again next week. Okay, we'll go through them together. But you can just review them. None of those are to be used without obviously a lawyer reviewing them with you. Okay. All right. Are we good? Everybody good? If you're good, type in yes. Awesome. Okay, we're going to wrap up for the day. I just want to double check with my new folks. Everything okay with the new members of this group? I want to make sure that you're good and you don't need anything. I'm looking for a duplex right now with the very long detailed Schedule A from the bank. The question is, can I change anything? Yeah, of course you can, Marina. Of course you can. You can always change it. Ask or request a change. My pleasure, Zach. My pleasure. Yeah, I'm going to be in Vancouver, so I'll see you there. So yeah, there's no problem with you changing clauses or adding clauses. That's not a problem. Not a problem. In contracts, really, it's up to us to do what we want to do. That's we got to make sure that we're safe. And we're protecting ourselves, because I'll tell you, the bank is definitely going to protect themselves. What is the best way to position a VTB to seller or agent? So Wayne, I would say that you ask them if they want to make some extra money on the mortgage. There's a nice opening. Would you like to make some extra money on the mortgage? Or would you like to make some cash flow from the property? Would you like to make some monthly cash flow from the property? Is another way. My pleasure. Working on it. Get it started. Good. All right. See you there. Good. Old YouTube video. It's better to watch. Understood more cap rates. Yeah, Chad. Go over the videos. Last week we covered cap rates. Yeah. So this is what I can say to you, everybody. Look, if you have properties that you want me to look at, or we should look at, you feel they're good, worth looking at, I want you to put it through the sheet. Okay, I do want you to put it through. And what I'm going to do is actually I'm gonna put out another update on the sheet for next week. Okay, I'm going to make some minor changes to the sheet, and I will give you an updated sheet, everybody, next week. Okay. Okay, so is everybody good now? We all good? Okay, let's watch two. Hold on. Yeah, Chad, it is different. I've updated. I continue to update it. Okay. All right, so we're going to close the meeting. I'm going to stop the recording. We'll post this up in the next few days. My pleasure. And you guys all have a great week. Run some properties through, obviously, right? This is what we do. We learn and earn. So I want you to watch some recordings, some on demand. Make sure that you can definitely be able to learn something a little bit every day. Do it no more than 5, 6 is the max days. Take a day off and be with your family, right? Yeah, learn and earn. Be with your family and your friends and your community and your spouse, and make sure that your life partners and the people important to you are being paid attention to. That's the last thing you want to do is take away from your family, right? We do it with the intention of getting more freedom in the long term. So let's keep it up. My pleasure. My pleasure. Okay. So Let's stop recording.